Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Kujantam Rama Rameti Madhuram Madhuraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakham Vande Valmiki Kokilam Manojavam Marutatulya Vegam Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Varishtham Vatatmajam Vanarayutha Mukhyam Shri Ramadutam Shirasa Namami Apadam Apahartaram Tataram Sarvasampadam Lokabhiramam Shri Ramam Bhuyo Bhuyo Namamyaham Dakshine Lakshmano Yasya Vame Cha Janakatmaja Purato Marutir Yasya Tam Vande Raghunandanam. So welcome back. We're going to continue from chapter 56 onwards in the Aranya Kanda. It's an honor and delight to be with you. I look forward to Saturday mornings to study and discuss Ramayana with you. Give me 1 second, I'm going to adjust something here. And it actually gives me life. So those of you who join, thank you. Those of you here later as well, thank you for inspiring me to study and to think and prepare for our gathering. So chapter 56 is where we're going to begin. The scene, as we discussed, Ravana has Sita Devi in his palace. He's about to give an order that she be taken away and be kept in the Ashoka garden. And the name of Ashoka is a place where there is no sorrow, Ashoka. However, this chapter 56 starts with Shoka. And he wants her to consent to his proposal because he is afraid that the curse that both Vedavati and Nalakuvera gave, that if he forces himself on a woman without consent, his head will burst, or heads will burst into thousands of pieces. So this entire episode thus far of his trying to convince her is to get her to say yes. And she doesn't seem to say yes at all. So now that he has told her, as we heard last week, all the reasons why she has no other option but to say yes to him, today we will hear parts of Sita's response. But before that, we'll spend some time in hearing the prolific realizations of a great Vaishnavacharya called Periyavachan Pillai, who is considered among the foremost commentators of Ramayana. And he wrote a commentary called Tanishloki. And in that, just one act of Sita Devi he gives 27 meanings for it, which we're going to look at today. So if you like this kind of deep dive analysis, this is the class for you. Some people like, some people don't like. So I have to try to make everyone happy, which is part of my folly, that I try to make everyone happy as much as I can. But some of you may enjoy, some of you just appreciate the depth of this great person's realizations, and we aspire that someday we get, a little bit of such depth and intensity of finding the meanings in the smallest of gestures of the Supreme Lord. Generally, for a person who has a grosser heart, the gesture has to be very significant. And for a person whose heart is developed in bhakti, the smallest of gestures has great meaning. For example, I don't want to digress, but Kunti Devi, after she spoke those beautiful, beautiful prayers that even the great sages extol and glorify, Krishna did not give any response. He just was silent, he smiled, and he went away. Or in many, many cases, the Supreme Lord is just silent and smiling. Even in Lord Brahma's case, when he's offering his prayers after the Vimohan Leela, Krishna doesn't say much at all. In fact, he's waiting and just smiling upon Lord Brahma with yogurt rice in his hand and waiting to go back and play with his friends. But the fact that the Lord stood there and heard all his prayers in and of itself is the greatest benediction. Otherwise, why should the Lord stay anywhere? So chapter 56 begins with Sa tathokta tu vaidehi nirbhaya shoka karshita trinam antaratah kritva ravanam pratyabhashata. So Sa tathokta, one, Sa is Sita Devi. So Sa vaidehi, and each word has meaning. So I'll take it one by one. Sa tathokta. Having been spoken to thus far by Ravana, Sa Sita Vaidehi, who is the daughter of the princess of Videha, Nirbhaya, fearlessly, although Ravana is very fearful. Ravana's palace and kingdom is fear-inducing. She has been kidnapped, so one should assume that she is fearful. But here he says Nirbhaya, fearless, Shoka Karshita, however, completely tormented by sorrow. So this is the conflict. Although she is tormented by sorrow of being separated from Ramachandra, she is fearless towards Ravana. And then Ravanam Pratyabhashita. So she replied. Pratibhashita means replied back or debated or retorted. First of all, how dare anyone retort or say anything to Ravana? How dare? But she was Nirbhaya, so she spoke Ravanam. And for her to speak to Ravana or respond to his nonsense, she did something. Trinam antaratah kritva. She placed a blade of grass between her and him. So this placing of the blade of grass makes Periyavachan Pillai go into ecstasy, because he brings out 27 meanings. However, because we are followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we give great honor and remember a blade of grass every day, at least in terms of reciting it. I can say whether in terms of following it, I may be falling short, but we remember Trunadapi Sunichena. Sunichena. Nicha is fallen or humble, or actually fallen or menial. Sunicha is very menial. Trinadapi Sunicha, even more humble than a blade of grass, as we say, or a straw on the street. However, Periyavachan Pillai, taking that blade of grass, gives us many meanings. So first of all, and this is no particular order, however, we can appreciate. It is said that when a king or someone very powerful comes to meet us, or we are in their company, actually they come to meet us, then according to Apastambha Sutra, so there's a great sage called Apastambha, who wrote some sutras of human behavior. And for most cases, people generally follow Apastamba Sutra in terms of when is the right time to do this, how should it be done, how should that function be done. It's in one sense, it's the broader body like Hari Bhakti Vilas. So Apastamba Sutra says that when a king or a great person appears in our company, one should offer him or a queen, her, a place to sit and some water to drink. However, this particular sutra is abhave bhumir udakam trunani Apastamba Sutra. It's 2.4.14 if you really care to read Apastamba Sutras. So that when someone comes, bhumi, one should offer a place to sit. And if you don't have anything to offer, a proper seat, the least you can give is bhumi, udakam, water, or trunani, or with blade of grass or some grass to sit. That's proper respect. And you will find out in Kishkinda Kanda when Ramachandra and Lakshmana meet, Ramachandra and Sugriva meet. Sugriva breaks the branch of a tree and offers that branch with leaves as a seat to Ramachandra because he's a king just in a forest. So first is etiquette. She followed a proper etiquette that although Ravana in her mind and estimation is not a great guy for what he has done, still he is coming in the line of a Brahmana and is the king of Lanka. Then the next meaning he says is she thought that, if I talk casually with him as if he's someone that I know, then he may get the wrong idea and become even more friendly. But by placing the blade of grass and I speak with him with formality and with respect, then that will keep that distance. Generally, we hear that among Vaishnavas, we have to find the right balance of respect and friendliness. So we maintain etiquette to keep that respectful distance because familiarity breeds contempt. But we also want to become friends with devotees. So we sometimes get away with the formalities. And it's that right balance that we have to find. So by placing a blade of grass, she kept the conversation formal or the interaction formal. Then according to Shastra, it seems that for a woman to speak or for a man to speak with someone else's wife, there must be a partition between the two for sake of etiquette. And so this partition generally is a pillar or some screen or water, a body of water or some water or grass. So by blade of grass, Periyabachan Pillai is telling us she kept a partition between herself and Ravana. Another is in the similar vein, Periyabachan Pillai says that she as a married chaste woman does not talk to stranger men, strangers, and those who are not, that she doesn't know and are not familiar to her. So she, instead of staring at him or looking into his eyes, which in the modern context we think is a matter of respect of eye contact, and which is important for us to maintain. In Sita Devi's case, back in the many Treta Yuga time, at least the etiquette was that she doesn't make eye contact. So she puts the blade of grass there and looks at the blade of grass and speaks instead of talking directly to Ravana. Another meaning he gives is Sita Devi is thinking to herself about Ravana, that Ravana, you're such a fool. You were given good advice by your well-wishers like Akampana, Maricha, and later, of course, Malyavan. And because this event of placing the blade of grass happens now in Aranyakanda and happens again in Sundarakanda. So by the time, Ravana's grandfather Malyavan has also given Ravana the advice to send Sita back. Please return her to Ravana. So he gives commentary on for both the incidents. So she's thinking that this blade of grass is better than you, that at least is listening to my words. Now, one may argue, is the blade of grass really responding back or not? And I'll leave that to you. Then another meaning Periyavachan Pillai gives is that she is comparing Ravana to that blade of grass. That if you hold the blade grass up, it bends. It doesn't have the strength to stand erect. That means it signifies a human being who is spineless. Spine, in English we say, and that guy has no spine. It means he cannot stand up, he or she cannot stand up for their values. If they feel something is right, they should be able to stand up for it. If they feel something is wrong, they should be able to speak up for it. And a person who cannot is called spineless. And although Ravana is being very formidable and strong, he doesn't have the strength. He is very cheap in his character. So Sita Devi is comparing Ravana to a blade of grass by putting the blade in front of him, that you are no stronger than a blade of grass. Then Periyavachan Pillai says that Sita Devi, who is the goddess of fortune or the Supreme Lord's pleasure potency, whatever she must speak must be nectar-like. And whatever ear that receives that nectar should go into ecstasy, right? And so he's saying that she's hoping this blade of grass will come to life. That even if it is an inanimate object, it can become a sentient being, and listen to her words and agree with her, so that she has someone who says, yes, you're right, Sita Devi. I know what you're saying. This Ravana is a cruel fellow. So she's also thinking that if a blade of grass can become a sentient being, then when Ravana sees that the grass is now responding, he may come to his senses that, hey, Sita is not some ordinary lady that I picked up here and there, and she is actually the supreme personality of Godhead's internal potency. Then another meaning is that by putting a blade of grass in front of her, she is comparing Ravana to be a brainless twit. That you, Ravana, as brainless as this blade of grass, because it has no way to think on its own. So we heard in the verse that the word Valmiki used is Trinam Antarataha. So Antarata means between, from one to another. It also means Antara can also mean the heart. Right? So if we take that meaning, Antarataha Kritva means that Sita Devi had a profound thought in her heart. That this blade of grass has not committed any mistake, right? And in her heart, she gave that blade of grass a very high status than the status of Ravana that she has. She has a very low opinion of him. That she says that I don't even consider you as important, or I consider you less important than a blade of grass. Which means you may try as much as you want to convince me, Ravana, but you have no meaning for me in my life at all. Another is generally we hear that an animal, the distinction between an animal and a human being is the possession of or the absence of viveka. Viveka means discrimination. Ahara nidra bhayamaithunam cha samanyametat pashubhir naranam. Dharma adhiko hi visheshitah dharmena hina pashubhir samana. Although the word dharma is used there, it requires discrimination of how to apply dharma, what dharma means, and how one is dependent on dharma. And that faculty is called viveka. And an animal doesn't have that. A human being is supposed to have. Animals have intelligence, no doubt, but that intelligence is meant only for eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Human intelligence, on the other hand, is for a higher purpose. That by Sita Devi placing a blade of grass, she's telling Ravana, you're no better than an animal, just eat grass. That's all. You have no intelligence of that. You have no discrimination of what is the right thing to do, what is the wrong thing to do. Then she had previously said to Ravana that you're no better than a fox or some animal, while Ramachandra and Lakshmana are like lions in the forest. So by placing a blade of grass, she's telling him you're some little herbivore animal that can be easily hunted by the lion like Ramachandra. Another meaning he gives is, in the previous chapter, Ravana tried to entice Sita Devi by telling her how opulent he is. Remember that the palaces that are gilded, the jewels, diamonds, emeralds, everything is for you. The palaces are sitting on top of mountains. The gardens are for you. The birds, the bees, the flowers, thousands of followers are all for you to just enjoy along with me. So she, by placing the blade of grass, is telling him that all your wealth is nothing but a blade of grass for me, insignificant. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes that one who has achieved the state of samadhi or bliss in the heart by the connection with the Supreme Lord, for them, Kanchana Lostra Samatvam, that they look at gold and pebbles the same way. They're not attracted by or enamored by the glitter of the gold, nor do they shun pebbles on the street. For them, they're not enticed in any way. So she's telling him, all your riches is nothing but as equal to a blade of grass. Then for a warrior, it seems, according to Kshatriya rule, that one's life is equivalent to a blade of grass, right? This one I'm not very clear yet, but it is there, so I'm sharing with you Periyavachan Pillai's commentary, that just as there is no importance to the life of a blade of grass, my life too is no more important. Anyway, I'm planning to end it soon, in Sita Devi's mind. Because the Kshatriya, the idea is the Kshatriya will not hesitate to lay down his or her life for a cause. So in one moment, the Kshatriya is all powerful and virulent in the battlefield, and in a moment, his life can go. So Sita Devi is saying that my life is also insignificant and useless without being next to Ramachandra. And anyway, I'm going to end it soon. And she will do that act much later, the attempt to hang herself from the branch of the tree in which Hanuman is sitting, and by his speech, he stops her. So Hanuman ji actually even stopped Sita Devi from committing that act by speaking Ramachandra's story. Anyway, when we come to that point, we'll show you how Hanuman is such a amazing personality and what all he does. But that's for another time. What we might find later in Sundarakanda is when this situation of placing a blade of grass happens again, Sita Devi is telling Ravana that Ravana, actually the power of time is such that even wealthy kingdoms, cities, opulence, all of that fades away. Just like that, Lanka too, which you are boasting of all of its possessions and what all it has, is all going to go away. And not because of time, but because of the incarnation of time. Sri Ramachandra is going to come and take away everything, or meaning finish everything. So this is a way to mock at Ravana, that Ravana, when your entire Lanka will get destroyed, take this blade of grass and use it to build a house for yourself. Another is a nyaya, apparently, in Sanskrit called Trunolapa Nyaya. And the idea is that when you see a gigantic tree or creepers that have spread all over, they start with one or two leaves. That's how it always begins. The seed sprouts and first two leaves manifest. However, with time, this germination then becomes a vine or a large creeper or a tree with many branches, and it spreads everywhere. So the idea is that, like a creeper, this nyaya, that something starts small, but it then keeps on growing and growing. So Sita Devi's advice to Ravana is, hey, pay attention to all the queens that you have. Don't like a creeper, still spread your arms and snatch or take away more area and property. This is, I don't belong to you. So curb yourself. Then from a friendly side, she says, or the indication is, why don't you make friendship with Ramachandra? Because Sri Ramachandra's heart is such that even today, if you return me and say, sorry, I made a mistake, I shouldn't have done that, Ramachandra will forgive you. Just the way if you throw a blade of grass into a large large body of water that has waves, like an ocean or we have a lake here, which is as good as an ocean. She says that those waves will push the blade of grass ashore. Similarly, Ramachandra will remove any ill feelings towards you by casting them away ashore. That means he will forget. Because we heard in the beginning, Ramachandra's quality, that even if someone does one favor, he will never forget it. And even if someone does hundreds of mistakes, he will not remember them. That is the nature of the Lord. So even if you go and say, hey, sorry, I made a mistake, he will forgive you. Then he gives another meaning. This is, we are on the 18th meaning, by the way, if someone's keeping count. Sita Devi is saying that just the way I plucked this blade of grass and put it in between us, similarly, because of your evil deeds, such as your unfettered lust and ego in your heart, and that you're not doing anything about it, my advice to you, Ravana, is just pluck out that lust and false ego and get rid of it as easily as I'm plucking this blade of grass. Of course, Arjuna tells us, Niyojanapi, Baladapi Niyojitaha, that the strength of lust is such that even if I don't want to, Anichannapi Varshneya, even if I don't have that desire, the force of lust, Vega, is so strong that it makes me do things that I don't want to do. And Krishna smiles and says, Kamesha, Krodesha, Rajoguna Samudbhava. But Sita Devi is saying, if you decide, it's as easy, which means if that commitment is there from you, Ravana, things can become easy. If you take shelter of Sri Ramachandra, the strength of conviction that you will have is incomparable. Then another meaning is that Ravana, if you want that your palaces, your gold, your jewelry, your possessions, they all stay intact and not be finished by Sri Ramachandra, then why don't you bow down in front of Sri Ramachandra, just like for you to pluck a blade of grass, you have to bow down. It's as easy. Just bow down in front of Sri Ramachandra. Another meaning is, please don't think, because Ravana had told Sita Devi, where is Ramachandra? Somewhere. I have brought you 100 yojanas across the ocean into an island called Lanka, and we are sitting in a fort that is sitting on top of a mountain. There is no way that Devatas, Yakshas, Gandharvas, Kinnaras, Gandharvas, anyone can come here. So she's telling him by placing a blade of grass, listen, the Supreme Lord Ramachandra is omnipresent. Just as he can come out of a pillar when Hiranyakashipu, you only in your previous life, had asked Prahlad Maharaj, where is the Supreme Lord? You talk about, where is this Vishnu? Is he here? Is he here? Is he in this pillar? And Prahlad said, yeah, if he's everywhere, he's in this pillar too. And he came out as Nrsimha. Similarly, he can come out of this blade of grass as Raghava Simha and finish you in one shot and tear open your heart just the way Narasimha tore open your heart in your previous life. So let that history not repeat. Seems like you're not learning your lesson. So apparently it is a practice that when someone makes a vow or a proclamation, they hold grass and sand and they leave it when they make that promise. So Mother Sita is saying, I am making this promise just the way that the sun's rays can completely evaporate water from a pond or a pool. Similarly, my Sri Ramachandra and my brother-in-law Lakshmana, who's with Lakshmana, will very soon evaporate the life airs from your body. Because their arrows are very, very powerful. They're as powerful as the sun. Then the word Kritva, generally we say she did something or he did Kritva. But apparently another meaning for the word Kritva is to pinch. So Periyavachan Pillai is saying that by pinching a blade of grass off the ground, or plucked, pinched, Sita is revealing to Rama just as easily that I have plucked this blade of grass, Sri Ramachandra will pluck your heads off very, very easily and rescue me. Because for Sri Ramachandra, what is it that is so difficult? Nothing. He can break Lord Shiva's bow without any effort when he was only 12 years old. As Narasimha Dev, he can come out of a pillar and finish Hiranyakashipu and all his followers in a moment. As Krishna, he can lift Govardhan Hill, only 5-year-old boy, on the pinky of his left hand. For him, finishing you is very easy. as easy as plucking his blade of grass. In fact, in Bhagavatam, Krishna lifted the Govardhan hill with the ease of a boy who picks up a mushroom from the ground. Then apparently in the Shastras, not apparently, we also know that one who troubles a Brahmana is fit to be destroyed. Troubles means one who attacks or insults or takes away the possessions of a Brahmana. For them, the reactions are very, very heavy. And so Periyavachan Pillai gives a reference that when Shukracharya had denied Bali Maharaj from giving the 3 pieces of land to Vamana, and Bali said, no, I'm going to do it. So in Vamana Purana, we have this detail that's not there in Srimad Bhagavatam. The detail is that Shukracharya actually became a little tiny being and blocked the spout of the water pot that Bali Maharaj was using to pour water onto Vamana's hands, because by pouring water and saying Om, you make your promise sacrosanct, you make your promise valid. So Shukracharya, when he became that obstacle,
you'll never give me watching.
Yes, that's exactly what Shukracharya said. Then Bali Maharaj, who was wearing the pavitra, which is made of kusha grass and worn as a ring, used the blade of grass to remove that obstacle. And he poked off Shukracharya's eye with that blade of grass. So Periyavachan Pillai is saying, Ravana, you may think that you may have a moon-like face or all this beauty that you're talking about yourself, but I have no attraction. Okay. And for me, I can even prick your eyes with this and finish you off. Another meaning is, we will hear the story in Sundara Kanda, because Sita Devi is going to narrate something that happened in the forest that nobody knows. It was a secret only between Ramachandra and Sita Devi. She will narrate that secret to Hanuman. And the secret, I'm just going to tell you now and relate the whole story later, that Ramachandra became angry at Indra's son, who had appeared as a crow, and pecked on Sita's chest. So Ramachandra, in that anger, picks up a blade of grass and induces the Brahmastra in it and releases it on that crow. We also know that when Romaharshana Suta, seated on Vyasasana, speaking the Puranas, and Lord Balaram appeared on scene, and all the sages and students got up to offer respects to Lord Balaram, except Romaharshana, because etiquette says one who's sitting on Vyasasana doesn't need to get up. But etiquette also says that when the spiritual master appears, it doesn't matter where you're sitting, you stand up and offer respects. And when Romaharshana did not do it, Lord Balaram plucked a blade of grass and just by tapping it on Romaharshana, killed him. So she's showing Ravana that don't think that this blade of grass is some puny, powerless entity. Sri Ramachandra can use this as Brahmastra and finish you. He doesn't need weapons, where you are hiding behind all these weapons and forts and Rakshasas. He doesn't need any of these. 26. Sita Devi's chastity is powerful like fire. And by the power of that chastity, that entire Lanka will be burnt. In fact, even despite possessing such powers, she did not burn Ravana to ashes just there, because Sri Ramachandra had not instructed her to do so. In Sundarakanda, she tells Hanuman, not difficult to finish everything. But that's not what the order my master gave. But by placing the blade of grass, she's telling him that it is in one sense to scare him, that Ravana, step aside, be careful. You don't play with fire that you cannot handle. And then final meaning is that Ravana, just the ease with which one can pick a blade of grass, with that ease, Sri Ramachandra can tear you up. Because Ramachandra in Yuddha Kanda, chapter 18, text 24, he will tell or he will declare that I can destroy all these Rakshasas simply by the nails of my fingers. You know, in Hindi we have a saying, "Tu to mere nakhun ke saman." I mean, I can always cut and throw you away. It's not too difficult. So, and he manifested this as Lord Narasimhadev. So Sita Devi's plucking that blade of grass is a signal again for Ravana in another way that is the power possessed by my Supreme, by my husband. So be careful. So just that one act, Trina Mantra Kritva, Periyavachan Pillai has all these 27 meanings. Let's see, time 9:40. Any questions or comments? Thoughts? You like Periyavachan Pillai's commentary? Although, you know, honestly speaking, my godbrother here, Shamukund, is divinely empowered by my spiritual master to speak this particular episode, which he did in Yatra, sitting right next to Maharaj, to all of us. And we were all in jubilation because he sang verses and he said it in a way. I'm reading from his notes. And I asked him to, can you please do justice? Can you do it? And he found a nice excuse and said no. So you had to settle for my just reading from it. Any thoughts, comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Wow. Whoever is the blade of grass can speak first.
Hare Krishna,
I'll go
Prabhu. This is
first,
Sachishwata Das.
Hare Krishna.
Please accept my humble obeisances. All Gurishwar, Gurumara, and Srila Prabhupada. Prabhu, the question where Sita Devi is considering all the opulences of Ravana's kingdom as a blade of grass. In the period where Sita Devi was captivated, I don't know what is the duration. How did she maintain her body and soul? You know, like how, because she's giving a lot of good advices and also seems to be worried or depressed in a mundane manner. But how did she really maintain the body and soul together?
She had not eaten, she had not slept, and she had not bathed. A period of almost 10 or 12 months until Sri Ramachandra, 12 months, because that's when Ravana took her and she was in captivity for a year, almost a year. And what kept her alive was her intense separation. That love of separation from Sri Ramachandra kept her alive. She was hanging by a thread, if you will.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisance. This is Kirti here. The Mother Sita is communicating so nicely to Ravana, and it's a non-verbal communication. She also expresses it in words, but he doesn't seem to get it. In day-to-day life, at least in my case, I see that I tend to misinterpret or not catch at all some non-verbal communications unless they are spoken out, so to speak. How to navigate that? I mean, sometimes I may be dwelling in the platform of mental speculation uh, just by seeing somebody do something, but it may not be what they are thinking. I may be misinterpreting them.
Yeah, in our cases, I shouldn't say in our case, first of all, gestures or subtle speech is the way of communication of refined people. I'm not refined. And in our cases, it's better to clarify. Hey, when I hear or see you say or do ABC, I feel XYZ. You take what we are taught I sentences. You don't say you did something like that. You say when I hear you say or do, this is how I see it, or this is how I feel. And it's always good to clarify. Sometimes subtle gestures we don't catch. We want it pretty much the American way. Very open, gross way of putting things out. For example, I've always wondered about it for the longest time, that in India, when someone dies, we use more of what's that called, euphemism, some sort of phrases. They left us, they're no more, they've gone to a heavenly abode. In America, they say dead. That's it, they're dead. Doesn't matter who it is, they're dead, they died. I mean, both are right, both are factual, truthful. One is very gross. Now, it doesn't mean that there is no room for direct speech. If you hear Sri Ramachandra or Krishna speak, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speak, very, very direct. And many times, very sophisticated. Depends on who that interaction is with. Subtleties are powerful. That is why anything subtle is more powerful than something that is gross. The soul being most subtle. So in our case, since I am still developing subtlety, it's okay to, and in fact recommended and highly, highly recommended to express, I saw this or I heard this, I felt this way. Did I catch it right? And the other person says, oh, I'm glad you brought it up. That's not what I meant. Oh, okay. But move on. Don't stick with, no, you're lying. That is exactly how it, and they may be lying. They may be, whatever it is, but take what they are saying and operate from that. I think I over-answered your comment or question, but
No, Prabhuji, thank you so much. On a lighter note, I would like to let you know that my manager always used to say in his, my previous manager always used to say in his emails, I would do it this way. I used to think he was going to do it. He meant I should do it.
yeah. Once my spiritual master wrote something to me in an email. It was about some random person that I don't know who they are. Okay. And for about a week, I didn't know what to do with it. Oh no, I wrote back, not for a week. I wrote back in a couple of days saying, I'm not sure, I don't even know this person. So I'm not even sure what you're expecting me to do. So he said, read carefully. It's the, it's such and such information that you're supposed to connect those dots and do that. Looks like you're dense right now or something. I said, oh yeah, I guess I am dense. All right, someone else?
Haribol Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances.
Oh, please accept my obeisances to you as well.
So Prabhu, the following up with the question what Prabhu asked you, is that the gesture is and you told the gesture is the most refined way, but doesn't it seems like that the gesture is the most unrefined way of communication? Because when spiritual master is communicating with you, or when the boss is communicating with that Prabhu, it's still communication. But in spiritual world, there is no words, right? They don't communicate. Sometimes Radharani and gopis communicate with the eyes and gestures. So when you say communication to gesture is the most refined way, in the material world, it's the most unrefined way, right?
Yeah, that's why I said in the beginning that Sita Devi did not make eye contact. But for us, when we are operating at the grosser level, especially now, when we're talking to someone, making eye contact is a way of showing respect. We are in such a world right now. We have to make eye contact. We have to use words, expressions. Why are there so many expressions in our language? Because they are ways of communicating something in a way that is effective. It's called alankar. Language has decorations. So we have phrases, idioms, figures of speech, metaphors, simile, and different persons who are good with language know how to use them. So subtle and gestures, it's not that all conversations are subtle and gestures. You're hungry and you look like that. That's not the point. There are certain conversations, certain respect, where certain gestures or hints or indicators are powerful. If the other person can also pick them up, otherwise it doesn't work. Both have to be, not one.
Yes, and I understand.
It's a gesture. If I don't understand it, then what's the use?
Yes, and understand. But doesn't we should be trained to understand the subtle gesture of spiritual master or any or authorities to make the things easier in our life? And why it's every time spiritual master to say something.
First of all, we are not trained in it such way, although we hear from scripture and we because we are in contact with scripture and scripture is subtle, we develop subtlety. However, it's dangerous to assume that I have developed that subtlety. So we clarify, we understand, we try to sense whether we are reading the other person carefully or not. But it's an art that Hanuman has. And therefore he's sent by Ramachandra, where when you tell Bharata that I'm returning, look in his eyes, look for any bodily indicators, even the slightest movement of his eye or eyebrow that shows that he's unhappy, we will not go back. But that's a very, very subtle science, we call it body language, that Hanuman knew. But for us, it's not like we're trained, this is what it means, that's what it means. It is developed with the refinement of our own consciousness. But we don't assume that I'm refined.
Sure. And I don't want to stretch anymore, but why then Bhagavatam is saying that the disciple who understands the spiritual master mood, he's the first class disciple. Well, the Madhyama disciple is spiritual master say something and the person doesn't understand. He's still spiritual master say something and he doesn't understand and he do something wrong. It's like a abominable stew. That's what Bhagavatam give very heavy statements. So that means when you read scripture, we should develop subtlety. It's assumed.
Well, I don't know if we should, but all I can say is one who studies scripture carefully develops so. Yes, that's what it is meant. I mean, if you come near fire, you feel warm. It's just, if you come towards something pure, you become purified. That is association. But there are persons who can study scripture and become very totally opposite. It's possible. Depends on how we take that association.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So here's a text question. How did Ravana interpret placing blade of grass? We don't know. We just assume 10 dull-headed fellow didn't catch it. For him, it didn't matter. He didn't care whether the blade of grass or not. He didn't care that Sita Devi is someone else's wife. If that is not easy for him to understand, forget about the subtleties. The subtleties are there for us because every act, word, or gesture of Sita Devi has very, very great meaning. Then here's another one from Shama Gopi. I was recently discussing Bhagavad Gita 3.1 with some people, and I was sharing reasons why Arjuna addressed Krishna as Keshava, Janardana, etc. And the question is, how do acharyas know what Arjuna was thinking? Similarly, when we hear such explanations like 27 internal meanings, how do we take them? Is it just poetic rendition to relish, or it has some deeper significance? Different people take it differently. We as students of the scriptures and the followers of great acharyas understand that persons like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his commentary to Bhagavad Gita, actually narrates a whole conversation between Arjuna and Krishna. Arjuna said like this, Krishna thought like that, and he responded then. And one might say, whoa, he was not there. But the idea is that Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kaviye. Tene Brahma Hridaya. Brahma is spiritual or reality. Is Hridaya, is revealed in the heart. Therefore, we call scripture, it was never written down, as revealed scriptures. The phrase we use is revealed. It is shown. The word is revealed in one's heart. So the Supreme Lord reveals himself to someone whose senses are not inert or dull, and one whose is these realities are not revealed. According to Rupa Goswami, that one whose senses are blunt cannot understand. But otherwise, the Lord reveals himself. So to different acharyas, he, I know in this case, she, are revealing. And their revelation is very much in line with scriptural conclusions, not something totally off. If it is totally off, we say it's a figment of imagination. There was a similar question someone asked me yesterday. How do we know? In Srimad Bhagavatam, there's no reference to Srimati Radharani, just a hint or indication. And in other Puranas also, there are some stories here and there. But we hear Jatila, Kutila, what happened? Krishna dressed himself like a fortune teller. One day Krishna dressed himself like a gopi, Shama Gopi, and came to appease Srimati Radharani, who was in Mana. Where is all this coming from? And the answer is, all these acharyas are entering and participating in those pastimes, and it's being revealed to them. It's not a figment of imagination. When we write a story, it's an imagination. We have a character, we develop the character, and we narrate a story. That's what storytellers do. The distinction between that and what we are discussing is a revelation. So they are not, they are meant to be relished. Is it in the end you said, is it just a poetic rendition to relish, or it has deeper significance? The answer, it's not or, it is and. Anything that is sweet about the Lord is meant to be relished. We call that prasada, their mercy. It is meant to be relished, and it has deeper significance. Both, not one or the other. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, so Mother Sita, I mean, as you told that she was kind of warning Ravana that just like Lord Narsimha Dev appeared, and so similarly Lord Ramchandra will also tear you up. So I mean, Mother Sita was, I mean, though she was playing, I mean, she was like behaving like in a human form, or she knew already, even while playing this role, she knew that, okay, I am the goddess of fortune, and my husband is Lord Ramchandra is none other than Lord Vishnu. So she was always in that mood, or I mean, how should we understand this? I mean, she was behaving like a human being, or she knew ki, okay, I am goddess of fortune, and my husband Lord Ramchandra is very powerful, and he will kill you like this. Like,
So let me ask you a question, so you can answer my question. Is that okay, Akuti? When
sure,
Srimati
Prabhu.
Rani is wandering around the banks of the Yamuna and being teased by Krishna, and then they fight, whatever happens, she becomes upset, she tells him to shut up and go away, and they're behaving like a young boy and girl. Is she aware that she is the internal potency of the Supreme Lord?
No.
Why?
I mean, because she's very naturally, I mean, when they are in that role, they are very natural. I mean, actually, I mean, I don't know how to express, but yes, I'm sure no.
Answers yes, I'm sure no. So here also, yes, I'm sure no. The point is, the Leela Shakti, or when Mother Yashoda is running after Krishna and he's crying, is Krishna crying? Rudantam is what Satyavrata Muni says. Rudantam.
Yes.
He's crying. Is Krishna
He was
crying?
literally
Acting.
crying.
This is how I should act right now.
No, he was literally crying.
Correct. So it's the internal potency facilitates the enjoyment of rasa. Although the potency is his potency, he allows for the potency to manifest different rasas for him to enjoy. Similarly, Sita Devi and Sri Ramachandra, who keep saying, Atmana Manusham Manye, I think myself as a human being, still it's the Leela Shakti that moves things as a human being. And in that role you're saying, Sita Devi, she has not spoken anything. She's just put a blade of grass. It's the acharyas who are saying that these are all the meanings. So no one can say Sita said, Sita knew, he's like not Narasimhadev. No one can say, because it's not spoken, but it is understood. It is derived. And does Sita know? Sita, she never says. Although at the end, in Yuddha Kanda, after Ravana is killed, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and all the Devatas come to that place and tell Sri Ramachandra, you are Narayana, you are Krishna, you are the Supreme Lord, and she is goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi, your eternal consort, who's always with you. Suddenly Ramchandra doesn't think, oh, I am God. Next minute, he again is talking and behaving like a human being. It's the Leela Shakti that moves and allows and facilitates all this arrangement. So does Sita really know? The answer is, can she ever forget? Is she acting? The answer is no.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, looks like we've exhausted our comments, questions, reflections, I guess. Thank you. We meet again. So next Saturday, my son has an exam. So we'll see. I will let you know in the middle of the week whether we can meet or not, how it's going to work out. Okay. So wait for a midweek or somewhere near Friday confirmation of Saturday's class. Until then, may that Sita Devi, who shows us or demonstrates to us that what is keeping her alive is her love, attraction, chastity, and separation from the Lord, Sri Ramachandra. And that love has such power that anything that Ravana tries to buy it with falls way, way short. And may she empower us to have that kind of love or affection for the Supreme Lord. One may say, oh, love is too far away. Fine, that may be true. And that is perhaps true in my case. But at least may I be attracted in a way that is that showcases or that is similar to the way she is. Although she is his consort, there is no shortage of place at her lotus feet to serve her while she is with Sri Ramachandra. Okay, thank you very much.